Okay, so this is going to be the last video for our organic chemistry unit. It's going to be over other types of compounds. So benzene is one of the most reactive and studied compound in organic chemistry. There's a whole entire class dedicated to the study of benzene, Organic 2. It's pretty much all benzene. It has a structural formula of C6H6. Now what happens with benzene is it has 3 triple bonds that are alternating. That's called a conjugated system. Now what happens, the reason why it's so reactive is these double bonds will open up and react with something, then close back up to form the ring again. The shorthand for a benzene ring is a hexagon with a circle in the middle. Okay, so when you see that, that's benzene. Okay, now when we're naming compounds that deal with benzene, a lot of times they're going to be in the ortho, meta, or para position. Ortho means side by side one another, meta means in the middle, and para means opposite of one another. So in our first example problem, it says identify as ortho, meta, or para. Okay, there's one space in between, so this is going to be meta. These are right side each other, so this is ortho. And the last one, they're opposite one another, so this is going to be para. No, there's nothing more to this, so that's it. Okay, now other types of organic compounds. So we're going to classify compounds. We're not naming them, we're just classifying. So the first type of compound that we're going to look at is called an organic halide. Halide means that it has a halogen with it. So fluorine, chlorine, bromine, or iodine are your halogens, okay? So when we're going through this, we're going to circle the group that makes it an organic halide. So in this case, we have a Br involved. So this is going to be an organic halide, okay? The next one, it has an I on it, so that makes it an organic halide. Okay. Now, the next type of compound is called an alcohol. So it's something with an OH on it. Okay, so we learned that OHs are hydroxides and they're bases in the previous lesson. So you can kind of forget that for this. So if it has an OH, it's an alcohol. So this is ethanol, your favorite alcohol that's in alcoholic beverages. It has an OH on it, so this is going to be an alcohol. This one has an OH on it, so it's going to be an alcohol. Now it also has a Cl on it, so we're going to name this also an organic halide. Okay. Now on to the next type of compound. It's called an ether. Okay. So ethers have the general formula R, O, R prime. So it's pretty much an O sandwiched in between two other things. Okay, so in this case, this makes this an ether. Okay, this is diethyl ether. So in those old movies that we've seen where they put some stuff on a rag and knock someone out, that is diethyl ether. Okay, and then we have this example right here with the benzene ring. Okay, this is an ether because you have a benzene ring on one side of the O and you have a methyl group on the other side of the O. Okay, so aldehydes. So this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky. It's not too bad. But you're going to be seeing these C double bonded O's. That's referred to as a carbonyl group. Okay, so with the carbonyl is on the end, okay, it makes it an aldehyde. Okay, so what I'm going to do for aldehydes is I'm going to circle and I'm going to write aldehyde. Okay, the next example, we got a C double bonded O with an H. That's an aldehyde. And we also have some other groups. We got an F. This is going to be an organic halide. And we got an OH. So this is going to be an alcohol. Okay. Now the next group is called a ketone. Okay. So ketones are the carbonyl sandwiched in between two other things, okay? They have that general structure, okay? So this is a ketone. You have the carbonyl sandwiched in between two other things. Right here, you have the carbonyl is sandwiched in between the benzene ring and the ethyl group, so this is a ketone. And we also have an ether involved because you have the benzene ring, the O, and then the CH3. Now, one thing that's interesting about alcohols, aldehydes, and ketones, they're used in a lot of our fragrances that we use, whether it's cologne, wall scents, candles, that sort of thing, because those compounds, the aldehydes, ketones, and alcohols, they evaporate quickly and they're naturally scented, okay? Carboxylic acids are a carbonyl group with an OH attached to it. So in this case, we're going to have a dicarboxylic acid because we have two of them. Okay, so you could just write carb acid, carboxylic acid. Okay, if you want to shorthand. Okay, the next one. The C double bonded O next to an OH makes it a carboxylic acid. You also have a Br, so that makes it an organic halide. And you have an OH, which makes it an alcohol. And then our last group involving these carbonyls for a second is going to be called an ester. Okay, esters, E-S-T-E-R-S. Okay, it's a C double bonded O, and O, and instead of being H like the carboxylic acid, it's going to be some other group. Okay, so the C double bonded O next to an O is going to be an ester. Same thing here. C double bonded O next to something else is called an ester. And then over here, this is a C double bonded O next to an OH. So that's going to be a carboxylic acid. Okay, esters and carboxylic acids go through a process called saponification. So what happens is these carbonyl groups, they react, and they start making soap compounds in the presence of sodium hydroxide. And so they start gumming up and they start giving you polymer compounds. So if you had some sort of fouling in a heat exchanger that's in a caustic tower, it could be because esters and carboxylic acids are reacting with the sodium hydroxide to give you some soaps and some polymer compounds. Okay, amines. The word amine means it contains nitrogen. So, proteins. Proteins are chains of amino acids. Amino acids are made up of DNA. DNA is made up of nitrogen bases, okay? It's made up of a 5-carbon sugar, deoxyribose sugar. It's made up of phosphate groups and nitrogen bases, cytosine, guanine, adenine, and thymine, okay? So you have 3 different types of amines. You don't have to name them primary, secondary, or tertiary. So if it contains N, it's going to be an amine. So a primary amine means there's only one thing attached to it. A secondary amine, there's 2 things attached to it. And a tertiary amine means there's 3 things attached to it. Okay, so in this case, you have an N involved. There's 3 things attached. So it should be an amine. I made a mistake. That should be like that. Sorry. Okay, so it's actually a tertiary amine. Okay, the last one on this page. It's got an N involved attached to something. It's going to be an amine. Okay, the last type of compound that we're going to look at is called an amide. And the same thing we just did is you have primary, secondary, tertiary. An amide is characterized by the C double bonded O next to an N. Okay, so that's the amide group. So you can have primary, secondary, or tertiary amides. Okay, so this group right here makes it an amide. It's a C double bonded O next to an N. Okay, the next one. You got a C double bonded O next to an O. That's an ester. And then you have an amide down here because it's C double bonded O next to an N. Now, if you're looking in your book, I don't have it in front of me, but if you go to the back of the organic chemistry chapter, they have a table, and I can maybe take a picture of this and attach it, or you can just use your notes as you're working through this. Now, we're going to work through the worksheet real quick in one video, so I don't have to upload another video. Okay, so the practice problems that go with this lesson. Okay, the first section says identify as ortho, para, or meta. Okay, there's one space in between, so this is meta. These are opposite one another's, so this is para. And these are right side each other, so this is going to be ortho. Okay, and then the section identify the type of compounds. Okay, so you got a benzene ring over here and you got a propyl group over here. This is a ketone. Okay, remember if it's on the end, it's an aldehyde. C double bonded O next to an O. That's an ester. And some of these can have multiple. We got a C double bonded O and an H on the end. That's an aldehyde. We got something that involves N, so it's going to be an amine. Next one, you got propanol, you got an alcohol, you got an OH. C double bonded O next to an O is going to be an ester. C double bonded O next to an N, that makes it an amide. A C double, an O sandwiched in between two things. So you got a benzene ring over here and you got a CH2 on that side. This is going to be an ether. Okay, now we get some fancy compounds. This is going to be aspartame. I don't know how you say it. Let me make sure. Aspartame. Yeah, it's that artificial sweetener that's like in Equal and Sweet Low and that sort of thing. So you got a carboxylic acid right here because it's a C double bonded O next to an OH. You got an amine. You got an amide. You got an ester. Okay, so we use organic chemistry with lots of different types of compounds. It's all dealing with pharmacological stuff, that sort of thing. This is vanillin, okay? So this is the structure for vanillin, vanilla flavoring. So this is going to be an aldehyde. Sorry if you want to include that. This is going to be an ether. And this is going to be an alcohol. So hopefully this video was helpful to you. If we need to do any more practice problems or if you have any questions on this stuff, feel free to reach out. Hopefully you have a good night and had a great semester, and I appreciate all of your hard work. Thanks. Bye.